Righto, thank you very much, everybody, and I am the current Masters World Champion, to be exact, and unbeaten in New Zealand Masters now for 10 years running, into my 11th year. Now, here, I'll go very quickly on my apologies, but I will be doing some free webinars, which if you're on my blog, you'll get a notification of them, where I can go into each of these topics for a couple of hours at a time. And this is from Jo, who's given me permission. All of the people here have given me permission to share their stories, but you will see she's a world-class athlete, a world champion swimmer, age group swimmer, and you can see she's been diagnosed with 8 autoimmune diseases, including cancer, and this is following the jab. Okay, so this is the sort of thing which I'm dealing with almost on a daily basis. People are approaching me with these kinds of issues, and I want to go now back to my days at ACC when I was one of the people who was given the job of setting up accident compensation in the 1970s. I still have the marbles to remember those days, great days. And when we look at predictions, for every death there must be so many lesser injuries, ranging from extremely serious, such as quadriplegia, down to near misses. And so if we apply this model to what we have, let's assume that there's been a paltry 10 deaths. We know there have been many more, but let's say there have been 10 deaths as a result of the COVID vaccine, then in theory there's up to 475,000. I actually think that most New Zealanders have in some subtle way been harmed, and we're only now seeing the full extent of that damage coming through. It's a slow-moving tsunami. We're now seeing the autoimmune diseases such as you saw in that last slide that are coming through. And I want to also just ask you to do a little thought experiment. What would happen if during the first lockdown we ran a campaign? These are the sorts of things I used to do with ACC, by the way, run safety campaigns, injury prevention campaigns, such as Be Safe, Be Seen, and mouth guards and so on. And if we improved the health of New Zealanders just by 10%, if we just shifted that curve slightly to the right by 10%, we would in theory wipe out all deaths, unnecessary deaths. The only people who would have died once the bioweapon got into New Zealand a year later, there would have been no deaths other than those who were ready to leave us anyway. Just a 10% gain. If all of you here improved your fitness and your health by 10% and the rest of New Zealand did the same, we would have had no problem. I'm a child of the 50s and 60s, and look at that photograph of those amazing children, and some of those will be you. Some of the ones who are a little bit older, and look at those. There is a 4 times Olympian there, by the way, medalist, world marathon, world champion, and so on and so on. My younger sister, by the way. Let's see if you can spot her, and I'm there as well. And I'm the same weight today, the same muscularity as I was back then.
People are shocked at what American high school gym.
I'll talk over this a little wee bit,
but this footage is from one of the
this is
US high schools that followed last
this is
year's
us.
physical education
This is what New Zealand was like. We were number 3 in the world for health and longevity, child health, and so on.
That a student should be able to do
and
16.
this was promoted by John F. Kennedy.
Considering most modern Americans struggle to even.
And I'll move on. I want you all to send out a vibes via the ether for Kennedy, who is going to clean up the FDA and the NIH, and where America follows, we follow. So everybody, when you go to bed, send out, yes, exactly. Let's send out those vibes, because where America goes, New Zealand follows about 2 years later. So I'm very, very hopeful. Now, I'm putting on my sports medicine and exercise physiology hats here, and we're going to look at oxygen uptake. So for an elite athlete, the oxygen uptake is around about 60 or greater, and then we get down to sedentary men and women, and you're getting down into the 30s and 40s. I suspect that the generation coming through today is much lower. When I look at the oxygen uptakes of the children of my age group, they would have been up in the 50s and some of them in their 60s. Today we're getting down, I think, into the 20s. And here's the thing, is that when you get below 20, you're barely going to be able to move from the bed to the lounge. And once you're down to 10 to 15, you're bedridden, and lower than that, and you're ready to depart. Now the thing is, once you're down to about 30 or so, you've got very little capacity for things like injuries and illness. Get a bad dose of the flu and it may throw you down into this threshold. And just think of what COVID's been doing, and the jab. The other point to make is that as we age, all of us here in this room are losing around about a 0.01 factor of oxygen uptake every year. I've been able to reverse that process. I'm currently between 50 and 60, which means that I can give the junior men and the open men a run for their money. I can't beat the best of them, but I can give them a good run for their money, and as I flash my Winnie card and say pensioner passing. There's nothing worse than being passed by a pensioner, other than being passed by a woman. And talking about female athletes, women are disproportionately represented in my patient lists. It's just that they're told they've got anxiety, take these pills and go home. The young men, on the other hand, they run around at a higher speed. They're less likely to do Pilates and that, but they'll go for the biggest weights and so on, and give themselves a heart attack. Now this is a female athlete, coached by my sister Lorraine, by the way, following a classic Lydiard program. The potential peak is where she was on. This is very accurate, and so she was going for a marvellous performance. Where that X is where she took the first jab, and then the second X is where she took the following jabs, and her actual peak was 11% less. An athlete will spend an entire year trying to get 1%, get a gain of 1%. She's lost 11. That's the end of her career. Okay, it's over, done, dusted, never to be regained. Now here is a young athlete, a fit young woman, who after her first jab ended up for a year of having to be wheeled to the toilet by her daughter or her husband because she couldn't stand up without fainting. Of course it was all psychological, vaccine anxiety by the way, but here's a oxygen uptake test of her, and her oxygen uptake after recovery, after a year or so of me working with her, it's up to 23. And that puts her in the first percentile. Okay, she's not overweight. Overweight is a factor, but she's overweight, not overweight. And that's where she is right now, which means no capacity for illness and no capacity to really be able to work, to do a decent day's work. This is the sort of damage we're doing. And here's another example of a very fit woman who was doing triathlons and so on, and we've done this test again. I'd suggest anybody who's had a COVID injury, they should have this done. And by the way, we're talking about mitochondrial damage. The heart, especially in an athletic fit person, is the highest repository of mitochondria. The brain is second. So that explains things like tinnitus, balance problems, brain fog and so on. And look at her, she's down in the 5th percentile. That should be the morbidly obese, not a fit, healthy, triathlete who can now no longer walk upstairs without puffing, and there's no capacity. What do you think that's going to do? Remember how you lose one factor of 0.01 every year? You just think of where she's going to be. Okay, it means a shortened life. It's inevitable. That's very sad. Now, this is my son's girlfriend, personal assistant. I'm not allowed to say girlfriend. And that's him over there, a big, strong, healthy guy, very well fed and raised. And this is her story.
Hi there, my name is Marilyn and I'm 24 years of age and I'm from the Philippines. I received the AstraZeneca vaccine due to being forced by my work. After the vaccine, I suffered from heart damage and I'm really having a hard time to breathe. But I was told it was just anxiety and I was perfectly normal. I've been to the hospital multiple times and in the last month, I had more than 2 episodes wherein I was thought I was going to die. I even lost consciousness and needed to be resuscitated. Despite these serious episodes, I returned multiple times to the hospital and see a doctor and got tested. They claimed I was suffering from vaccine-related anxiety, fear of vaccine, and suggested I see a psychiatrist and that I was perfectly normal. I can help, but I feel like I'm being misled and abandoned by the health department. If it wasn't for Gary's son introducing me to him, I fear my health.
So I'm working with her, and it's unfortunately is getting too close to home, this sort of stuff. And what you will gather, she's been told to go and see a psychiatrist, and on the last, she's had 2 episodes where she's had to be resuscitated. On the last, just in the last couple of months, and she was, my son thought that she was dead. Now, they want to have lots of molars. They want to populate the world with molars, and I'm very happy about that. But here's the problem, okay? To take a baby through to full term, it's around about a 30% metabolic loading on the mitochondria, oxygen uptake, and so on. And in a healthy woman, she will the true loading due to compensation will be about 15%. Now you just think, can a woman with an oxygen uptake of 20, 23, 25 carry a baby through to term? Okay, that's the question. Bearing in mind a damaged heart, damaged mitochondria, is there that adaptation available? So I'll tell you what, I'm pissed off. I'm not happy, so I'm here today giving you the message. Okay. So the consequences are enormous and ongoing, and I don't think we can see the generation coming through living to a full life, simply because of the damage that's been done. I practice this. This has been proven by over 2,000 years. It's enduring. Food is your medicine, and your body heals itself. My job is simply to give it a helping hand, to apply a little bit of modern science. You are genetically engineered to live to 110 years of age. All of us, everybody here, your genes are your God script, they're your friend, they're here to serve you faithfully. If you don't live to 110, you've let the side down. I mentioned my oxygen uptake is 50 to 60. If I do that progression, I'm already in the 99th percentile for my age, and when I get to 100, I'll be well and truly way over that, so long as I don't get run over by a bus in the meantime. And look at the muscularity on that guy, leaping into a moat. You've got to change your perceptions of what being old is. Set a very, very high, a high bar and strive for it. These athletes, I was on the side there taking photographs back in 1977. I was the first aider and trainer for the New Zealand team. And look at the muscularity on him, eh? Wow, having a great time. I'll just cover these very quickly. I suggest that you Google some of these. Type into Google things like taurine and heart disease, taurine, cardiomyopathy, taurine, delayed onset muscle soreness, taurine, neuroregeneration, and you can do the same with like N-acetylcysteine and quercetin and so on and so on. And what you'll see, for those who have been looking at COVID, you'll see that many of these are actually preventers and treatments for COVID infections and vaccine injuries. So I'll be doing some webinars on these specifically, so just get onto my website and make sure you get my newsletters and I'll let you know. The problem is that food is now nutrient poor, even your organic food. Mark mentioned supplementation. Yes, there is the need for supplementation, but the first thing you must do is test. You would never run a business without a set of accurate, up-to-date accounts to give you your profit and loss. Supplements don't work unless you first test. You don't fire them blindly, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money, and you may even be doing yourself no good. So test, then prescribe nutrient-dense food, and of course one of the other things is step up your physical activity so that you can eat more without becoming obese. And I've just got this that's actually being delivered today. What I've done is I've taken many of those nutrients listed in that second to last slide and put them into a smoothie formula, which you can now get. So long, it's absolutely amazing because I've been developing that for 20 years, experimenting with it on people like you and myself, and it's very important. So long as you put healthy ingredients and beautiful natural foods into it, like full cream, dairy, A2 protein source, and so on. Now, what do these colours, what do they have in common? Hey? Yeah. I'll go very quickly because time is of the essence. They are the rainbow. Red, orange, yellow, blue, green, and then blue. Okay? They are the colours, and we're nothing but photons of light actually, and these lights nourish and heal. And so what you do is you select your vegetables based on those colours, and if you do that you can't go wrong. Think of the colour of turmeric, okay? It is the brightest of yellow, and think of astaxanthin or blackcurrant from Nelson. By the way, I'm the biggest advocate of Nelson blackcurrant. I think I have written more about it and sold more blackcurrant from Nelson than anybody else in this country. And that's because it is the deepest of reds. It's so red, it's black. And it's the colour that gives nourishment. And we've talked a lot about detox, very simple. Just Google, if you want to, just type in citrus peel cancer, citrus peel detoxification, citrus peel heart disease, citrus peel dementia, citrus peel neuroregeneration, and so on. It's there, and that's for free, okay? You can go raid your neighbour's fruit tree garden. And being a gentle keto. It's already been touched on. Here's the rules, very simple. You'll see that on this subject, the other speakers and myself are walking in lockstep on this one. But basically, go between meals without snacking, and preferably go right through to lunchtime without eating, other than a little bit of energy boost perhaps in the morning, but very little, and it will make an enormous difference to your health. Just type into Google keto or the word fasting, they're one and the same really, and words such as stem cell activation and human growth hormone. If you put those into Google, it will blow your mind, okay? If you wonder where regeneration and healing comes from, it comes from periods of gentle fasting. You don't have to fast for a week. Do not beat your bodies up, okay? And honour your traditional diets and exercise. I'm going through this quickly because I'm going, it's lunchtime, time to break your ketosis. The other thing is make sure you're not a one-trick pony. Don't just run or cycle. Don't just swim. You must always have 2 or 3 activities that you can seamlessly slip into. Otherwise, you'll end up being an arthritic old man or woman. This is my partner, Alofa, the fittest 60-something-year-old Samoan, 49 kilograms of muscle. We mustn't fall into the stereotypes just because of our race or because of our age or gender, that we must act old and diseased. Okay, and be one with nature. I'm just quickly flicking through this is what natural therapies can do if anybody says they don't work. Okay, facing amputation now in the walking group. This guy's in his 80s. It's never too late, by the way. And look at this, the difference between massive eczema and can I just show Brianna very quickly? This is Brianna. How do we get that working? Brianna, she was completely paralysed after the Gardasil vaccine. It's not just, and she was thrown out of, with the doctor, with her parents, thrown out by the specialist. Her GP disowned her, and this is her in her recovery. She was told she was faking all this, and her parents were attention seekers. This is her recovery. Okay, the wheelchair in that was donated by her grandmother, and I got a charity from one of my patients that was set up to fund her rehab. And this is Brianna. You can see her starting to walk, but look at the damage done to a 14-year-old girl. This is the damage done, and I think it was the aluminium, by the way, in the vaccine, just done by the testing we did. This is her recovery. Look at that, eh? Look at that, when she was like this. Okay, and this is her. This is about a year ago. She's now back in the school soccer team, and of course she's going to give you all a wave. Okay, yeah. So that's Brianna. And what more evidence do you need? Okay. And by the way, that's Duncan, my good mate Duncan. Okay, he's Duncan is no longer with us. His secret was Drambuie and porridge, by the way. Thank you.